Hello, everyone, and welcome to lessons 4 to 6 of our series on music rudiments. Today, we'll be looking at time signatures. My name is Elisha. But before we dive into what we have for today, just to recap on the previous lessons on ties and dotted notes, we mentioned that ties are those signs that join notes which are next to each other and have the same pitch. So you cannot join notes that are higher or lower than each other. We said dots are usually next to a note and it adds half the value of that note to it. You wonder when the right time is to use ties and dots. It's either to make a note longer. To make a note longer, it can be tied or it can be dotted. So just to remember that from our previous lesson. In today's lesson, we hope to get you to understand simple and also compound time signature. Secondly, to be able to identify when to apply them. And I would want to make it clear the difference between time, common time, and a la breve. Time signature is that set of numbers, two numbers, that appear at the beginning of a piece of music. What it does is that it shows the time or meter of the music. Like we said already, it consists of two numbers, one on the top and one at the bottom. The number at the top shows the number of beats in every bar, and the bottom number signifies what type of beat they are. In other words, the top number signifies the quantity of beats in a bar, as against the bottom number that signifies the quality of beats. For example, a time of 4/4, the number at the top tells you how many beats there are in a bar. So in every bar, there should be 4 beats. But what type of beat should there be? There should be 4 quarter note beats, 4 quarter note beats, or 4 crochet beats. Quarter note and crochet refer to the same thing. So again, the number at the top signifies the quantity, 4, and the number at the bottom signifies the quality, quarter note or crochet beat. If you look at the time of 3/4, again the number at the top signifies the quantity, 3 beats in every bar. But what type of beat should there be? It should be the quarter note beat or a crochet beat in a bar. Focusing on the top number, if the top number is 2, then you should count the pulse in each group of 2, and each bar should add to 2. So the notes in each bar, for example, in a time of 2/4, should add to 2 crochet beats in that bar. So there is 1 and 2, 2 crochet beats. In the next bar, 1 and 2, 2 crochet beats. If the number is 3, then the pulse will be counted in groups of 3, and each bar will add up to 3 again. 3/4, 3 top crochet, bottom beats in a bar. So that's 1 crochet, 2 crochet, 3 crochet beats in a bar. That's a bar line. And the next bar has a dotted meaning. Remember, a dot adds half the value of the note to it. A meaning beat will be 2 beats. And if you add the dot, it's half of 2 is 1. 1 plus 2 is 3. So you have 3 crochet beats in this bar just by a dotted meaning alone. And then again, if it is a 4, you keep going that way, you have 4 crochet beats. So 1, 2, 3, 4 crochet beats in a bar. And second bar, you have 1 crochet, second crochet, and a minim. Remember, a minim is twice the value of a crochet. So that means you have 2 crochets in a minim. So 2 plus 1, 3 plus 1, 4. So again, 4 crochet beats in a bar. Focusing on the bottom number, it tells you what type of beats you are counting and what type of note gets 1 beat. So the bottom number, 2 things, tells you what type or quality, like we said already, of the beat. It also tells you what type of note gets 1 beat. In other words, what is the principal beat. So let's go from here. We said the top number is the quantity, so 2 number, but the bottom number is the quality. 2 signifies a half note. Remember, half is 1 over 2. That's why you have 2 here, 1 over 2 or 2, okay? Half note, otherwise called minim beat. So the bottom number here signifies a half note, 1 over 2, or minim beat. So there are 2 minim beats in a bar. If it is a 4, for example, then it is a quarter note or a crochet. So you see there is a 4 here, and it means a quarter. Remember, quarter is 1 over 4, 1 quarter, that is 4, or a crochet beat. So again, the number or quantity, 3 crochet or quarter note beats in a bar. If it is an 8, it refers to what? Aha, you got it right. It's a quaver beat. 1 over 8 is also called an 8th note. So it's an 8th note or a quaver beat. Remember, the top number is quantity, so 6 quaver beats or 8 note beats in a bar. And you keep going on and on and on like so. Okay, a quick guide to how to identify what the number signifies in terms of the type of beat. You rarely have a time signature that has 1 at the bottom. Very unlikely to find it. But if ever you do, it signifies a whole note. So 1 is whole or semibrief. When you have 2 at the bottom, again, it's 1 over 2, half, okay, half, 1 over 2, half note or minim beat. If you have 4 at the bottom, it's 1 over 4. 1 over 4 is what? Is a quarter. So it's a quarter note or a crochet. If you have 8, 1 over 8 is what? Aha, is an 8th note. So you have an 8th note or a quaver beat. 16th note is 1 over 16 or 16 like you see it here, or semiquaver. 32 is a 32nd note or demi-semiquaver. And 64, if you like, will be a 64th note or hemi-demi-semiquaver. So it's a quick guide to help you know what each number at the bottom signifies. Putting it all together, a time of 2-2 means 2 minim beats in a bar, and it means the principal beat or the beat that receives 1 note is a minim. So in a time of 2-2, a minim will be 1 beat, and from there we can work out the beats of the other notes. So if a minim is 1 beat, for example, a crochet, which is half of a minim, will be half beat. A quaver, which is a quarter of a minim, will be a quarter beat, and on and on and on. In a time of 3-4, 3 quarter note beats in a bar, or 3 crochet beats in a bar. It also means that the crochet note receives 1 beat, or the crochet note is the principal beat. So that means in a time of 3-4 or a time of 4-4, where the note below is a 4, referring to crochet. Crochet is the principal beat. So crochet carries 1 beat. It means that a quaver will carry what? Well, correct, it's a half beat. And a semiquaver will carry a quarter beat, and on and on and on. If a crochet is, and how do we differentiate between a simple and a common time? I beg a compound time, I beg your pardon. How do we differentiate between a simple and a compound time? In simple time, the beats can be divided into twos, as against compound time where the beats divide into threes. So if you look at this demonstration, simple time, you would notice this crochet you can divide into two, and it gives you two quavers. You can divide it into two, no problem. If it were a meaning beat, you can divide this meaning beat into two to have two crochet notes, and again two crochet notes here. And same for the quaver beat. You can divide the quaver beat into two to give you two semiquavers and two semiquavers, and on and on and on. You can do the same for the rest of the notes on each of the lines. So as a rule of thumb, in simple time the beats can be divided into twos. On the other hand, in compound time the beats divide into threes. If you look at this dotted crochet, for example, you divide it into three, what do you get? You get three quavers. So remember, a dot adds half the value of a note to that note. Half of a crochet is a quaver. A quaver itself can be divided into two, a crochet itself can be divided into two quavers. We said that already about that crochet. So if this crochet equals two quavers, the dot beside it is another quaver, making it three quavers. And that applies to the second dotted crochet. For the dotted minim, again we said that the dot adds half the value of the note to the original note. If a minim has two crochets, which it does, the dot beside the minim adds half the value of a minim, which technically is a crochet. So it means you have two crochets from the minim itself originally, and a third crochet from the dot. So that's three crochets in a dotted minim. For a dotted quaver, the same rule applies. The dot adds half the value. Half of a quaver is a semiquaver. A quaver is equivalent to two semiquavers. Two semiquavers plus the semiquaver of the dot is three semiquavers. So that confirms that rule that for compound times the beats divide into threes, as against simple time where the beat divides into twos. As a rule of thumb, always know that in simple time the number at the top is either 2, 3, or 4. 2, 3, or 4. If you ever see those times, they are simple times. However, if the number on top is anything more than 4, but a multiple of 3, then it's a compound time. So it means that the number on the top have to be divisible by 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2. 9 divided by 3 is 3. 12 divided by 3 is 4. So the number on the top has to be divisible by 3 and has to be obviously more than 4. It is then a compound time signature. We'll come to what makes it duple and triple and quadruple in a bit. But just to summarize, simple time, the bits are divisible into twos. Compound time, the bits are divisible into threes. For simple time, the number on the top is 2, 3, or 4. For compound time, the number at the top is 6, 9, or 12, or must be divisible by 3. And over to the terms duple, triple, and quadruple. Duple, like you would imagine, refers to 2. So in this case, duple means 2 bits in a bar. So I would want you to focus on the numbers at the top. So for a simple time, for example, simple duple will be things like 2, 4. So 2 is at the top, or 2, 2. Again, 2 is at the top. Compound duple will be things like 6, 8, or 6, 4. Remember, we said the number at the top has to be divisible by 3. If you divide 6 by 3, you get 2. If you divide 6 by 3, you get 2. So for duple time, it's either you have a number at the top to be 2 or you have it to be 6. If it is 2, it is simple. If it is 6, it is a compound time. Again, the same applies to the triple time. If it's a simple triple, it is 3, like you'd expect for triple, 3, triple. Or if it is 9, remember if you divide 9 by 3, that gives you 3. So 9, 8, 9, 4 are all triple times, but in this case, they are compound times. So it's triple compound or compound triple time. For quadruple beats, 4 beats in a bar. So the number at the top again has to be 4 for simple time, for simple duple. But if it's a compound duple, it has to be divisible by 3. So if you multiply 4 by 3, it gives you the compound equivalent, that is 12 for the number at the top. So let's go through that again. For duple time, it's do, 2, do, 2. 2 for simple duple. Multiply 2 by 3, you get 6. So it will be 6 at the top for compound duple. For triple time, 3, 3. For simple time, simple triple, it is 3 at the top. If you multiply 3 by 3, it gives you 9. So for compound triple time, the number at the top is a 9. For quadruple, quad is 4. Number at the top, simple quadruple, is 4. But if you multiply 4 by 3, it gives you the compound quadruple equivalent, which is 12. I hope that makes it clear. Now, to demonstrate what we've said in more detail, simple duple time, for example, let's look at this these two notes on the stave. 2, 2, 2 at the top is the quantity, 2 at the bottom is the quality, so 2 minim beats in a bar. So this is 1 minim, second minim, so 2 minim beats in 1 bar. For simple time, we said it has to be divisible by 2, or it has to be divided in 2s. If you divide 1 minim into 2, you get 2 crochets. Do the same for these 2 crochets. So each of them can be divided into 2. It passes that test. It's duple because, again, the number at the top is 2. 2 beats or 2 measures in a bar. 2, 4, 2 at the top is quantity, and 4 at the bottom is quality. So 2 crochet or quiver or quarter note beats, I beg your pardon, 2 crochet or quarter note beats in a bar. So there is 1 crochet, second crochet, 2 crochet beats in a bar. It is simple because each beat can be divided into 2. So if you divide a crochet into 2, you get 2 quavers, and that the same happens or applies to the second crochet. And then it's duple because there are 2 beats in 2 beats in a bar, 2 beats per measure. 2, 8, 2 quiver beats in a bar. Again, it is a simple time because a quiver can be divided into 2 to give you 2 semiquavers, and the second quiver 2 semiquavers. It's a duple time again because 2 beats occur in a bar. So that explains why it is called simple duple time or simple duple meter. Next up is simple triple time. We have 3, 2 at the top. 3, that's the quantity. 2 is the quality. So 3 minim beats in a bar. You can see 1 minim, second minim, third minim. Again, it's simple because you can divide a minim into 2 notes or two equal beats. So 1 minim can be divided to 2 crochets, another minim 2 crochets, the next minim 2 crochets. So each beat can be divided into 2. It's triple time this time because there are 3 of them occurring in a bar. So just focus on what is at the number at the top, and that explains why it is triple, because it is 3, the number, the quantity of notes is 3 of them occurring in a bar. For 3, 4 means 3 crochet beats in a bar. It is simple again because the crochet can be divided into 2, so you have 2 quavers equivalent to 1 crochet, another 2 quavers equivalent to the second crochet, and the last 2 sets of quavers equivalent to the last set of crochets. Again, it's triple because there are 3 of them occurring in a bar, so that's why it is simple triple time. For 3/8, 3 quiver beats in a bar, we said it is simple because each note is divided or divisible into 2. 1 quiver divided into 2 is 2 semiquavers, and a second quiver, another 2 semiquavers, a third quiver, the last set of 2 semiquavers. So that's why it is simple, because each beat can be divided to 2. It's triple because there are 3 of them occurring in each bar. The same applies to a simple quadruple time. Again, it's simple because it is not more than 4. So we said if it's more than 4 but divisible by 3, it is a compound time. So this is a simple time because it is still within 2, 3, or 4. Number at the top here is 4. Number at the bottom is 2. So 4 minim beats in a bar. And you can count with me how many minims have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4. So we got the correct amount of minims in a bar. It's simple because this minim can be divisible into 2. So 1, 2, 2 crochets equal to 1 minim, another 2 crochets equivalent to another minim, another 2 crochets equivalent to another minim, and the last set of 2 crochets equivalent to the last minim. So that's why it is a simple but quadruple because there are 4 of those minims occurring in a bar. So simple quadruple time, we're in order. The next is a 4/4 time, 4 crochet beats in a bar. Again, it's simple because divide that crochet into 2, you get 2 quavers. Second crochet, 2 quavers. Third crochet, 2 quavers. Fourth crochet, 2 quavers. All divisible into 2. It's quadruple because there are 4 of them occurring in a bar. So 4 crochet beats in a bar, simple quadruple time. And the same applies to 4/8. You can divide a quiver into 2 to get semiquavers, and it's quadruple because there are 4 of those quavers occurring in a bar. So briefly, what is a common time as against a la breve? Sometimes you would find pieces of music where you find a C replacing the time signature. If you do find a C replacing time signature, what you would normally know as a time signature, which is 2 numbers, it refers to 4/4. So if you find a C, it is called common time, or 4/4, or 4 crochet beats in a bar. So that's exactly what it means. C equals 4/4. If you divide the C into 2, for example, put a line across the C, and imagine in your head you are dividing 4/4 into 2. That's not what it means, but just imagine it that way, just to make it easy to remember. It becomes 2/2. So a C with a line across is a la breve. That's what it's called. A la breve is the name. But it means 2 minim beats in a bar. It's a time of 2/2 as against a time of 4/4 where you had a common time. So to summarize, C for common, C for common, common time equivalent to 4/4 or 4 crochet beats in a bar. And then the C with a line across divides into 2. Just remember it that way. It's called a la breve. And you have 2/2 or 2 minim beats in a bar. So on to triplets and duplets. Triplets are interpreted as 3 notes in the time of 2. Sometimes you find pieces of music where 3 notes are connected with what looks like a bracket at the top and the number 3 written on top of the middle note. That is referred to as triplets. And what it means is that you will sing all 3 notes, but in the time of 2 notes instead of 3. So for example, 3 minims grouped together with a bracket on top and the number 3 written at the top of them means you should sing all 3 notes, but in the time of 2. 3 crochets with a 3 on top, sing all 3 notes, but in the time of 2 notes. And you can go on and on and on till the least kind of note you can have. Putting it into context, remember the C, it's called, correct, that's the common time, or 4/4, 4 crochet beats in a bar. And you can see 3 quavers. Remember, in triplets or duplets, it must be notes of the same value, or it could also be rests of an equivalent value as the note. So in this case, we have 3 quavers with a 3 on top, meaning you must sing all 3 of them in the time of 2 quavers. You here have 2 quavers, but 1 quaver rest. Okay, it's part of the triplets, and you must observe them as such in the time of 2 quavers. You could have the rest at the middle as the middle note. You can have 2 rests and 1 note. Regardless of how it is framed, it observes the same rule that you sing, instead of using the time of 3 notes, you sing all 3 notes, but in the time of 2 notes. Let's look at another example of three crotchets. You have a crochet rest to start with, and 2 other crochets with a 3 on top, so that's another triplet. And you can have the rest of the crochet in the center. Again, you sing all 3 of them, but in the time of 2 notes instead of 3. Duplets, on the other hand, are interpreted as 2 notes sung in the time of 3. So it sounds like the exact opposite of triplets. So in duplets, you have 2 notes, but you are singing it in the time of 3 notes instead of in the time of 2. Again, you would have usually 2 notes of the same value with a 2 written over them. We say you sing 2 notes, but in the time of 3 notes. So 2 crochet with a duplet over it are sung in the equivalence of 3 crochets. 2 quavers with a duplet over it are sung in the equivalence of 3 quavers, and it goes on and on and on. For example, you have 2 quavers with a duplet over it. You could also have a quaver note and a quaver rest as part of the duplets, as we had in triplets also. So that brings us to the end of the lesson itself. Let's go through a few questions and see how you fare. So you describe each of these time signatures as either simple or compound, and duple, triple, or quadruple, or as irregular. So when you describe each of the time signatures, you tell me if it is simple duple, or simple triple, or simple quadruple, or is it compound duple, compound triple, or compound quadruple, or is it irregular? I'm sure you can tell the irregular ones, the ones that are not divisible or multiplyable by 3. So for example, I'll give you a quick clue. This is an irregular time. Okay, we talked about simple times 2, 3, and 4. We talked about compound times 6, 9, and 12. Anything apart from those will be irregular. I'll leave you figure out the rest. Second question, 3, 2 represents 3 meaning beats in a bar. We know that, don't we? Yes, we do. What do the following time signatures represent? So just tell me, if 3, 2 is 3 half note or meaning beats in a bar, what does 4, 2 mean? Just write it in the same manner as the way it has been written for 3, 2. Okay. And final question, put in the missing bar lines in the following passages which all begin on the first beat of the bar. This is slightly tougher than the first two, and if you wanted to hold off until your lessons on bar lines, that would be ideal, because that way you would understand better where the bar lines should be. So understanding time signature and bar lines go hand in hand. So you can hold off on this exercise if you want to visit the lesson on bar lines first, and then you'll be able to answer this question better. In summary, we've learned that time signature is a combination of 2 numbers, one above and the other below. We also said that it is found at the beginning of every piece of music, immediately after the key signature. So usually when you have a piece of music, you have the clef. It's either a treble or a bass clef. The next thing you have is the key signature. So you'd have either a flat or a sharp, or the different numbers that you possibly have The third thing you would normally have is the time signature. The number above tells the quantity of beats, and the number below tells the quality of beats. The number below also helps to identify the principal beats from which the remaining beats in the music piece are derived. Next topic, interestingly, is bar lines and grouping of notes, and I'm sure you will enjoy that class as well. Once again, thanks for your attention. These are the references. See you in the next class. God bless you.